Om Jnanatimarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshram Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Bukam Kotibatalang Pangam Manghayate Gurim Yat Kripa Taraham Bande Shigurum Dinataranam Vanchikapatibhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaisnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So Krishna comes for many reasons, many incarnations. So the Bhagavad Gita is the spoken word of Krishna. One gentleman once asked Prabhupada, I'm so unfortunate that I wasn't here at the time of Krishna when I could have also heard Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada said, no, just by reading this Bhagavad Gita as it is, it's none different than Krishna standing right before you speaking the Bhagavad Gita. So the words of Krishna are very powerful. And the Bhagavad Gita advented because in Kali Yuga there's a lot of ignorance. And Krishna comes to give knowledge, the highest knowledge, Raja Vijaya, the king of knowledge. There's so much knowledge being given at universities, but you won't find absolute knowledge, the absolute truth. Prabhupada was at MIT University there in Massachusetts, and he was speaking about the Bhagavad Gita. And MIT is a top university in this country. So he asked the students, why is it that there's no course where you could learn the difference between a dead body and an alive body? Why can't you learn about anti-matter, spirit soul? So he gave a whole presentation about the spirit soul. And the students were very impressed. And they were like, yeah, why can't we learn about this? Even Socrates, the father of modern philosophy, and Plato, they gave so much, they had a lot of realization about the soul. And they were teaching it to their students. And the leaders at the time, they didn't appreciate this. So they told them that if you don't stop teaching what you're teaching, then we're going to kill you. Because he wouldn't stop. They were telling him, stop this teaching. Because I guess I was going against their grain, they didn't like that. So he said, no, I'm going to keep teaching as I'm teaching. So they gave him this, was it hemlock? They gave him this poison. And so they asked him, so after you're dead, what do you want? You want to be buried or burned, or what do you want? And he replied, you'll have to catch me. Because he knew, I'm not going to die. I'm the eternal soul. So that's the first teaching that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. Because Arjuna, he didn't want to fight because he was in a very, very awkward situation. He was being asked to kill his grandfather, whom he loved from the time he could walk and talk. Grandfather Bhishma, everybody loved Grandfather Bhishma. He's a very lovable grandfather. So he's being asked to kill him. And Dronacharya, his teacher, whom he also loves so much. But they happen to be on the other side, on the side of Duryodhana, because they're being maintained by Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. So they were obliged. They couldn't turn away from Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra at a time when they're most needed. So it was inevitable that they had to fight against Arjuna and the Pandavas. It's very amazing because not only did they have so much love for Bhishma and Dronacharya, but Bhishma and Dronacharya had so much love for the Pandavas. So they're fighting each other. It's pretty amazing. So Krishna explained that, don't lament. They're not going to die. No one dies. Everyone lives. And Bhishma, he's one of the Mahajans. There's 12 Mahajans. Svayambhur Narada Sambhu Kumara Kapila Manu Palaro Janako Bhishmo Balivaya Sakir Vayam. So he's a very great devotee, so he's not going to be hurt. But you have your duty. And Krishna teaches a lot about duty in the Bhagavad Gita. Our main duty, as we just heard, is to serve Krishna. Now we just received the wonderful presence of Badrinarayan Maharaj. Maharaj, you want to take this? Okay. Okay, Maharaj. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains that the goal of the human form of life is to serve Krishna. He invented to let us all know the good news that we're spirit souls, we're the eternal servants of Krishna, and the best thing that we can do for ourselves is to serve Krishna. Bhaktya mama vijanati yavanyas chasmi tatata. That one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead only by devotional service. And by such devotional service, one pleases Krishna. So this is the goal of life, is to understand our true nature as spirit souls and the nature of God, of Krishna. It's not easy to understand Krishna. He's unlimited. But at least we can understand Him enough to serve Him. In the Bhagavad Gita, he explains, as we heard, Param Dhamma, He's the supreme abode, He's the supreme personality of Godhead. And we are very small. He's great, and we're small. And by serving this great personality, we also become great spiritually. It's kind of ironic. People in this world, they think that because of the false ego, they think they're really something big. But actually, materially, we don't even exist. We don't even exist materially because we're spirit soul. So people are thinking, because of the false ego, I'm some big person, I'm a big boss, or I'm a big athlete, or I'm a big this and that, but we don't even exist materially. But spiritually, we have a very big position because we're all part of Krishna. We're sons, daughters of God. You know, that's big. Just like now we have the President of the United States, and there's someone, I think he has some children. So to be the children of the President of the United States, they get protection and they get special, they're taken care of, you know. So what to speak of to be the part and parcel of God? It's a very big position. But people have forgotten. So Krishna comes to help remind us, kind of wake us up, you know, from our slumber of who we really are, you know, as the eternal servants of Krishna. And this is joy, actually. In this verse, Raja Vijaya Rajaguyam, the king of knowledge, Raja Vijaya Rajaguyam, the most secret of all secrets, Pavitram, it's the purest knowledge. Just like you go to the universities, you don't find pure knowledge. You don't become inspired. But you read this and you become inspired. I remember the first time I read the Bhagavad Gita, I couldn't put it down. I was thinking, wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. I read it in 7 days. I just couldn't put it down. I understood this is the highest truth. This is very pure knowledge. Why is it pure knowledge? Because it's coming from the purest person, Krishna. He's the purest person. So therefore it's the purest knowledge. And by reading the Bhagavad Gita, we become purified. And when we're completely pure, then we're completely happy. Everybody wants this, right? Happiness. So that comes from purity. And Krishna is the most pure. We connect with Krishna, we become pure. Nasti buddhir yuktasya chayuktasya bhavana. If one is not connected to Krishna, one cannot have transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which one cannot have peace. And without peace, where is the happiness? So this Bhagavad Gita is all about connection. It's like this word yoga. Connection. Yoga means connection. We're trying to connect again with Krishna. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he was connected very much to Krishna. He knew what Krishna wanted, which he received from his spiritual master. And it's mentioned, Srila Prabhupada he mentions in one purport, that the spiritual master, he does not have a material body because of his being surcharged with the identical interest of Krishna. This is a pure devotee. He's surcharged with the identical interest of Krishna. And what is the identical interest of Krishna? What does Krishna want? He wants people to wake up. So Prabhupada, he was wide awake. And he had this interest, identical interest of Krishna. He was surcharged with it. So it's just like if someone, it's like Prabhupada, whoever he touched, they would become surcharged also. Not everyone. Some people couldn't catch Prabhupada's mercy, the purity that was coming from him. He was so pure because he was connected to the most pure Krishna. So some people could appreciate it and some people couldn't. But those persons who did, they also got this, they got surcharged. And he would tell them, go to San Francisco, go to Montreal, go to Australia, go to Africa. And they were surcharged. They got this mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So they would go to Africa, they would go to Australia, they would go, and they would also plant this knowledge into people's lives, and they would get surcharged. Just like if you have an electrical wire, a hot wire, and someone touches it, they get shocked. And someone touches him, he gets shocked. He gets shocked. It just goes on. I mean, I don't know how far it can go, but you got the idea. So Prabhupada touched people's lives, and they got this spiritual surge so they could help others also. And it's still going on all over the world. People get Prabhupada's books. They get the Bhagavad Gita, which is non-different than Krishna, non-different than Prabhupada, and they get surcharged. They become inspired to serve Krishna. So this is the reason Krishna comes. He is known as Paradukha-dukhi. A devotee is also Paradukha-dukhi. He sees people suffering, he gives pain. So Krishna, he wants to see everybody happy. So he comes and gives us this knowledge by which you can become happy. And in this verse, Rajavijja, Rajaguyam, Pavitramadam, Uttama, Pratyaksha, Bhagamang, Susukam, Kautamaviyam. It's joyfully performed. By reading the Bhagavad Gita, you become very joyful. Like there's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Akinchana Shadantasya Santasya Samachetasa Maya Santusha Manasa Sarvasukha Maya Dasha. That anyone who is free of material desires, sometimes people want to have these material things, but material things don't satisfy us. Why? Because we're not material, we're spiritual. All the things of this world are not going to bring joy to the soul. But spiritual life will bring joy to the soul. So one who is free of material desires, who's able to control the senses, just like we have in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a nice example of the 5 senses. They're like horses, out of control horses. Yeah. And the reins, those are the mind. Yeah. And the driver is the intelligence. The chariot is the body. And the passenger is the soul. And what is the soul saying? Slow down, please. Control your senses. Control yourself. Yeah. Yoga means controlling the senses. So we have to learn to control the senses and focus our senses on the service of Krishna. This will satisfy us. So akinchana dantasya santasya. If one is able to do that, one becomes shanti. One becomes peaceful. If we can control the senses, control the mind, one becomes peaceful. And everybody wants this also. We want to be happy, we want to be peaceful. So this is the guide. The Bhagavad Gita is the guide on how to be peaceful. Santasya samachetasaha, who sees everyone equally. It's like Prabhupada was so connected to Krishna that he saw beyond the body. He saw the soul. Just like when he went to Africa, there was devotees there preaching this message in Africa. There's a lot of Indians, though, in Africa. So the devotees were only preaching to the Indians, not to the Africans. And Prabhupada noticed that. And he said, why? Why aren't you preaching to the Africans? They're the local people, preach to them. And they said, well, Prabhupada, they're not that interested. And Prabhupada said, no, open the doors for the Africans. And they did, and so many Africans came. And there's so many devotees now in Africa by the mercy of Prabhupada. Samatashat. He sees everyone equally. He doesn't see the body. He sees the soul. He doesn't have this skin disease. A lot of people have this skin disease. I'm American, I'm Russian, I'm Indian, I'm black, I'm white, I'm yellow, I'm brown. No, this is all skin disease. So Prabhupada didn't have that skin disease. Samachita. Akinchana shidantasya santasya samachita. Maya santushta. It means that one is satisfied, completely satisfied in serving Krishna. So if one is able to see in this way, wherever you go, you will only find happiness. One who is free of material desires, who controls the senses, akinchana shidantasya santasya, who is peaceful, sees everyone equally, who is satisfied in serving Krishna, wherever you go, you'll only find happiness. So this is Krishna's message. Yeah. How to be happy. So, we have a very nice friend here in our community who has donated these books here. And if any of you like, you can take one for yourself. We have more also. You can take one for yourself, or you can give to friends for Christmas. Be the best Christmas present. Of course, many devotees only have friends, that are devotees. But if you have any friends that aren't devotees, then please give this as a wonderful Christmas present. That'll be the best Christmas present you can receive. I'll tell you an interesting story of a friend of mine. He was about 8 years old, and someone gave him, he's from Indian background, someone gave him a Bhagavad Gita. And he was a little, what's the word? He was a little, well, he was 8 years old. You know, why is this person giving me a book? You know, a book. You know. So he didn't want to be rude, you know, but he put it in his room. And he became a musician many years later. And the person who he was, I guess, playing with in his music band was very popular. He was kind of like on the side, but and he was reading the Bhagavad Gita, and he was telling this person who had received the Bhagavad Gita when he was 8 years old about the Bhagavad Gita and how amazed it is, how amazing it is. You got to read this book, man. It's an amazing book. And he was practicing. So now this young man who had received the Bhagavad Gita when he was 8 years old, he thought, wow, this person, he's big, he's famous, and he's reading the Bhagavad Gita, and he's telling me about it. Maybe I should read it. Maybe I should read it. He still had it, so he went home, he started reading it, and he was like, wow, this is amazing. This is a great book. So he found out where there was a temple in Los Angeles, and he was regularly going to the temple, and eventually he joined the temple, and he became one of the biggest book distributors in this country. Huge. Jai Chaitanya Das. So that's how he got into Krishna. Somebody gave him a Gita when he was 8 years old. You know what's amazing, what I find very amazing, is when I distribute books, this is my main service. I distribute these Bhagavad Gitas. I don't know how many I've distributed, but quite a few. I've been doing this for 43 years. And what amazes me is about 99% of the Hindus I speak to, they haven't read the Bhagavad Gita. And I can't figure it out. And I tell them, you know, this is the best book I ever read, my favorite book. I lost count how many times I read it. But Hindus don't read it. Why? And they'll say, yeah, I haven't read it either. But then they take it. And some of them say, I promise you I'm going to read it. You know, so they say, yeah, my grandmother, she used to tell me about it. My grandfather, yeah, so yeah, it's in our blood, you know, we know. So if you'd like to take one, please do. And also, this is a time to, if you would like to, this is the Giving Spirit month. So if you would like to sponsor Bhagavad Gitas, we go out and we distribute Bhagavad Gitas, and sometimes people don't have money. So if you sponsor Bhagavad Gitas, we can give Bhagavad Gitas to people who are not so well off. So sometimes people, they donate cases of Bhagavad Gitas. So you're welcome to do that. Today it'd be very auspicious on this remembrance of the advent of the Bhagavad Gita. It's a nice service. As I mentioned earlier, the goal of the human form of life is to serve Krishna with love. So you may not be able to go out and distribute Bhagavad Gitas, but if you sponsor Bhagavad Gitas, that's another nice way that you can serve Krishna, and I guarantee you, Krishna will be very pleased with you if you do that. Now, Maharaj, who do they see about getting the book sponsored? Balaram isn't here. Damodar Kumar, who is in the lobby at this moment. So just see him if you would like to. Yeah.
See Damodar Kumar, and then come around the side and pick up your box of prasadam.
Yeah, there you go.
In that order.
Yeah. So give mercy. You give mercy by giving the, sponsoring books, and you come around here and you get mercy. It's all about giving and taking prasadam. You can take one right now. Got a fired up kid.
How old are you?
11.
Well, you get 3
Okay.
extra years.
So are there any questions about the class I just spoke on? Or comments? Maharaj, would you like to say anything?
No, we don't want to keep them too long from prasadam.
Okay. Would you like me to tell you my favorite verse, since we still have a little bit of time? All right, I'll tell you my favorite verse. Are you ready? You sure? Yeah? I don't think you're ready. Tesam saratyuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam ujyantite. Krishna says, to those who are constantly devoted to me and worship me with love, I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. So this is how to go to Krishna. He gives the intelligence to us, how to go to Him. But we have to be constantly engaged in His service. This is what He's looking for. In the spiritual world, there's no part-time devotees. Full-time. Full-time only. My good friend in the lobby, he's going to tell you. When you leave, he's going to tell you how to sponsor. Yeah, his name is Damodar Kumar. Okay? So yeah, this is the key to entering into the spiritual world. Not easy. Constant. Constant, unmotivated. No motivation. Generally, we always have a motivation when we do something. And what am I going to get out of this? Yeah. Some motivation. It's like sometimes people, they come and they give donations, but they show it to Krishna. You see this, Krishna? Yeah. They want something back, do you? And it does. It does come back. But better than having that intention is just giving it. Just giving it for the pleasure of Krishna, not to get something back from Krishna. Yeah. So, and sometimes people will come and give large amounts of money, $5,000. Oh, such a nice donation. He's such a nice gentleman. But in the bank, he's got 5 million. Right? So Krishna's not so impressed. But if someone comes in and they only have $5 to their name, and they come and put that in there, whew, oh, Krishna is so much more pleased because they gave everything. More pleased than that person that gave 5,000. Because Krishna's looking about what he's got in the bank. And he's also thinking about what he's got in the bank. Yeah. So, Krishna's pleased by full surrender. I guess this is one of the reasons that the Hindus don't read the Bhagavad Gita, because they know if I read that Gita, it means I gotta give up all my materialism and I gotta surrender to Krishna. Right? But actually, if we do surrender to Krishna, you'll be much happier than just having all these material things. Okay, no question? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Advent of Bhagavad Gita ki jai. And now here's words from Balaram Prabhu.